It wouldn't be an exaggeration to say that it completely changed our lives. The internet spread explosively around the time we were entering the 21st century. Nowadays, it's not so much that you have to start using social media, but rather, it's just something that's taken for granted, right? The internet is now familiar, but early perceptions were very different from today. People who used the internet were seen as geeks or introverts. That was the general image back then. And back then, internet regulations were much looser than they are now. So all kinds of different websites were scattered around. Among them were sites related to cybercrime, dating sites, and underground school forums. And some of these were involved in illegal transactions. There were also sites that if you looked for them you could find, sites where exchanges took place, like what we now call the dark web. This time, I'm going to talk about the dark side of the internet. It's about incidents that started from these sites. Now, here are the details. The dark web murder case. 200. From late at night on August 24th to the early hours of August 25th, 2007, in a residential area of Chizuru Ward, Nagoya City, Aichi Prefecture, while on her way home, Rie Isogai, a 31-year-old office worker at the time, was suddenly abducted, assaulted, and killed by a group of 3 men. The 3 perpetrators met in person for the first time after connecting through an underground job site on the dark web. 3 days later, they committed the crime and abandoned the body in the mountains of Mizunami City. However, the crime was discovered when one of the perpetrators turned himself in the next day. 1 person was sentenced to death, and 2 others received life imprisonment. The Dark Job Placement Agency. This site was used for fraud, robbery, theft, and drug sales. It was a bulletin board for people seeking partners for various underground jobs. In August 2007, a post was made there. I just got out of prison and I'm working as a temp. It's really ridiculous. Want to team up and do something in the Tokai region? The post was made by Kenji Kawagishi, a 40-year-old unemployed man without a fixed address and one of the perpetrators. The other perpetrator replied to the post. The 2 were Tsukasa Kanda, 36, and Yoshitomo Hori, 32. Kanda mainly did "it's me" scams, but he was so poor he even considered robbery. What about Hori? He sent a message asking if they should pull off a big job, but then dropped out halfway through. The 4 plus 1 began moving to commit a crime. On August 21st, all 4 were already in Nagoya. They met face-to-face at a restaurant, called each other by fake names, and discussed the plan together. Should we target the night safe? Or would a pachinko parlor be better? They immediately put their plan into action, but lost sight of their target while tailing them. They then tried to attack a darts bar. However, it was closed. And on top of that, it turned out to be a place where one of them used to work. They tried sneaking into a company office to steal a safe, but couldn't even find the safe itself. Nothing went right for them. And then, one person left the group. 3 days after they first met, on August 24th, the remaining 3 planned to abduct the woman and get her bank account personal identification number from her. They even discussed in detail the characteristics of the woman they were targeting. A woman in her late 20s or early 30s with black hair. Not flashy and without brand name items. A modest office worker type of woman wearing stockings. Living alone is preferable, and she fits the conditions mentioned above. The person roams Nagoya City to save money while searching for targets. Meanwhile, heated discussions continue among them. After withdrawing the money, what should they do with the woman? Of course, they quickly decided to kill her. That's right. And finally, the woman who matched the target they had in mind became their victim. She was petite at 155 centimeters. He stood 180 centimeters. She was suddenly pinned down by Hori and dragged into the car. As they drove off and closed the door, it wasn't for her body. "Stay quiet," Hori tells her. "What is this about?" In response to her question, he said, "If you don't make a fuss, your life will be spared." After that, she was handcuffed, threatened with a knife, and had tape put over her mouth. She was in the depths of fear, but she didn't let the criminals intimidate her and acted bravely. She had been saving money to buy a house for her mother, who raised her alone. She had over 8 million yen in her savings. Even after her cash card was stolen, her attitude didn't change. The criminals gradually became impatient, and they persistently tried to get the personal identification number for the cash card they had stolen from her. However, she never revealed the personal identification number, no matter what they did. Card. I tried desperately to persuade them, but they didn't stop, and although it ended in an attempt, one of the men tried to sexually assault her. And finally, she told the men the 2960. When the men heard that, they stole 62,000 yen in cash and valuables from her, then killed her and took her body to the mountains. After that, they went to an automated teller machine to withdraw cash from the cash card. However, they couldn't withdraw money with that number. When her mother heard the number 2,960, she remembered that her daughter had always liked number puns. She said it was a lie told as her daughter's last act of resistance prepared for death, and that 2,960 meant to hate. The incident happened. The next day, August 25th, Kawagishi, one of the perpetrators, surrendered, bringing it to light. All three were arrested consecutively and immediately feared the death penalty. Kawagishi reportedly turned himself in, but the story is more complex. Kawagishi wrote to reporters after his arrest, saying he had turned himself in. Regarding the circumstances, he said it was a moment of weakness, and that it wasn't simply because he didn't want to be sentenced to death, so please understand. And in that letter, there were no words of apology to her. On the contrary, he even said that he couldn't apologize because he couldn't put into words something he didn't feel. Her mother started a petition to demand the death penalty for these despicable men. As a result, more than 300,000 signatures have been collected. And as for the outcome of the trial, Kawagishi and Hori were sentenced to life imprisonment, as they were considered to have played a central role in the crime. Kanda was sentenced to death in 2009. This case was unusual because a death sentence was given for one victim due to the crime's brutality and premeditation. Hori, sentenced to life in this case, was later linked to incidents from 1998 and 2006. Suspicion grew that he committed crimes like robbery and murder, resulting in his rearrest. The 1998 incident. In that case, 2 people were victims, and Hori's death sentence was reduced to life imprisonment. Prosecutor Kawagishi lived with his family until age 20, worked at a transport company, married, and had 4 children. He divorced 4 years before the crime and was tens of millions of yen in debt at the time. He had been convicted for a phone scam. Tsukasa Kanda, this man was a former newspaper sales staff, and the year before the crime, he was involved in shady. He used a website to commit bank book fraud and received a suspended sentence. He was the sole recipient of the death penalty in this case, executed 8 years later at age 44. Hori Yoshitomo was involved in a pachinko incident in 1998. He broke into the store manager's home, killed the couple, and stole valuables and money. In 2006, he attempted a robbery murder in Moriyama Ward, Nagoya City, injuring a 69-year-old woman. What about these additional crimes? They were discovered through DNA testing after he was arrested for this case. In this case, he was sentenced to life imprisonment, but due to the additional crimes, he received the death penalty. A prisoner already serving life was unusually sentenced to death in another case. And as of 2020, he is still incarcerated as a death row inmate. These 3 people supported the death penalty. Let me share his mother's words. I hope the justice system prioritizes protecting honest people over rehabilitating offenders. I sincerely hope the justice system changes so punishments match the crime's nature, not the number of victims or past precedents. Words can't express it. Even in fear, you stayed composed. How scared and how much pain she must have felt. Yet she never gave up until the very end. Words simply can't express it. The last message she left was 2,960. I sincerely hope that the true meaning of it reaches the men. I sincerely pray for Ms. Ree's soul. The internet is truly a convenient thing, however. However, there is always a risk of getting involved in crimes or incidents. Let's stay cautious in daily life to avoid unknowingly getting involved in such things. Thank you for watching. See you again in the next video. Bye-bye.